smiles to the world, we're hitting first base. Marty Lurie with friends, home run. You know the ways and the trends of stories all with the match of the block. It's Marty and friends. Marty and friends.
All right, great to have you with us, Ruby. Thank you for bringing us in on a very special night tonight with the trade deadline happening today and the Giants making some moves and all over baseball. Man, things were just flying around. It was tough to keep track of it. But Eric's with us tonight. Our good friend Rick Smith is here tonight. And, of course, from the NorCal Sports Network, and that is Dan Cocamiglio. Dan, how are you?
I'm doing great, Marty. Thanks for asking. Thanks for having me. It's was a wild day. I couldn't keep up with it. I was just like, we did a show this afternoon. I was like, I guess we're not getting anything from the Giants. And 3:00, boom, boom, boom. It's like,
yeah, I felt maybe they were playing poker or something.
It looked like
waiting until the end. But I guess the first question for all you guys would be, does this mean they've sort of thrown in the towel for 2025, or are they still competing here? They're about, 6 games behind the Padres and 2.5 behind the Reds, I think. And here we go. So, Eric, I'll start with you on that one. Did they throw them in the towel here?
I think they kind of did. I mean, they still pretty much the same team minus Yaz. I mean, Yaz really wasn't doing anything in the last, month? Hasn't how many RBIs did he have in his last couple of one? See, so he wasn't really getting anything done. So I'm not so worried. Tyler Rogers, that was a tough one. That guy was money in the 8th inning. The last 2 years, right? Last year, this year, he was really good. And Doval, I'm fine with getting rid of Doval, but does that mean they're selling it in? I mean, they didn't. Well, I guess we could say this: they didn't reinforce the team to go into the stretch run. If they make a run in the last 2 months, all right, good on them. But to a certain extent, I think they're just saying, all right, 2025 is what it is. Let's see what we could get going in 2026.
All right. Let's go to Rick. Rick, what do you think?
Well, I thought it was a semi-white flag, kind of like Eric. He didn't totally give it up. He left some room for some sort of a miracle. In terms of Yaz, 4th outfielder from the very beginning of the year, I thought he was a good Giant and a terrific fielder. I guess the Royals need a defensive outfielder, and he fits that bill. Doval, I have said this before, he's got $1 million arm, and the rest of that sentence. And they're going to torture him in New York if he has a problem with the pitch count, if he loses track of guys on base, and that lackadaisical style, that's going to drive those New Yorkers crazy. But the one I tell you, I feel Rogers, I thought he was terrific, but I guess the feeling is he's a free agent. I think Posey wanted to get something for him. You could always get him back, but he's the one that it hurts to give him up. Well, I thought he was terrific all year.
All right, Danny, I got distracted there. I'm trying to get Larry Krueger all straightened out and get
good.
him on the show. You got? Okay.
Yeah, I sent it to him.
Go ahead, Dan. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it's as the other guy said, it's a semi waving the flag. I mean, you did get Budo back from the Mets, and he is a middle reliever. So in a sense, he's not the quality of a reliever as Rogers, but he does take a slot there. And you got 3 prospects. This kid Gilbert from Tennessee is a contact hitter, only 16% strikeout rate in AAA. The kid they got today in the Doval trade, Jesus Rodriguez, the catcher, 15% strikeout rate with a 300 average throughout all of his levels in the minors. Even in AAA this year, he's hitting 300. So I see what Posey's doing. I think he's sick and tired of guys swinging and missing. and the entire lineup has been built around guys that are strikeout artists. And he says, I want contact. And the kid they drafted out of Tennessee in the first round, Colleen's a contact hitter. That's the type of hitter Posey's going for. And he's trading guys that can put the bat on the ball. So in a sense, it'll be kind of exciting to see what maybe some of these guys do. Maybe we'll get into this a little later. I've got some ideas for what I hope the Giants will do the second half.
Well, I don't think they threw in the towel. They did trade from the strength, and that is the bullpen. And now all of a sudden the pressure's on Walker and Rodriguez is a little more fragile than Doval was. You need Eric Miller back, and you're going to have Lucchesi in the middle of that. You're going to have Bevins in the middle of that, that kind of stuff. So they did give up a little bit in the bullpen, but offensively, they're still the same team, pretty much offensively. And that's why I say I don't think they throw in the towel. I think this is the attitude they've had the whole season, is these guys are going to hit at some point, and they're good enough to get it done. The other part that's a little troubling for me is the rotation. What's the rotation now? I mean, you got Webb, you got Ray, who's still here, and I guess that market for Ray wasn't out there at all, and I don't think they wanted to part with him anyway. And then you got Verlander. There was no real market for him. Now what do? Well, you got Weisenhut, I guess, who's going to get another start against the lefty-heavy Mets, so they're going to put him in there. And I guess Buto, I guess he gets a start. So now that's more of a problem than it was before. So I don't feel great about the ball club right now because they're not playing good ball, and that's a reflection really on the manager and getting his team ready. Walker made a big mistake yesterday not going home with the ball in the 10th inning and let the guy score. Ramos doesn't know the infield fly rule, has made mistakes. Devers is way out of position. Schmidt was way out of position on a number of plays. They're not playing good ball. So all in all, I think we're still kind of where we were before the trade deadline. I don't see much has changed for the San Francisco Giants. I think we're going to see more of the same kind of, decent pitching, tight games, and it's going to go like that. But I don't see them changing up and doing much differently than they did earlier. The pressure may be off Devers now. Maybe Devers will relax a little bit and hit. When he gets a hit, he smacks it. He does hit it hard when he gets a hit, but he doesn't do that often. Sitting under 230. I think he's like 30 for 230, 135, something like that. So all in all, that's my take on it. We're still looking at the same kind of ball club, and the right field situation is the one that will change. That will change. And this little lefty, 5'9" Gilbert from Tennessee, should get a shot. I would bring him up right away and put him out there with Matos.
If Dan's right about the Posey wanting contact hitters, I like it. I'm so tired of these guys striking out. Yes, I went to the game yesterday. As a matter of fact, I went with Scott Feldman, former Major League pitcher. It was really interesting to hear his comments. But, his comment was that they're late on the fastball, particularly Chapman and Devers. Late on it. Oh, that's not good. What is that all about? But, Devers and Chapman were 0 for 7, 4 strikeouts. And to Marty's point, and he's made this point before, I know, Marty, you said that the bottom 4 in the lineup are the problem. I think it's a pervasive problem throughout the team. Adames is hitting, but really that's about it right now. I think everybody has it, including Devers. He's not really doing much. I think he's a hitter. I know he's a hitter. Patience, he'll be better. I get that. But nobody's hitting except for Adames. That's a problem.
Yeah. Well, these trades didn't do anything to change the 2025 Giants. That's my feeling. They're still who they were today. This little Gilbert, maybe, and Larry will talk about. Larry just joins us, so talk about him a little bit. I'd like to see him up, and he could maybe be a top of the order kind of guy and maybe ready. I've seen Tidwell pitch. I've seen Buto pitch, so I haven't seen all the players, and of course, the young kids. But Rodriguez, I would get him up here. This kid can hit, and he probably can't catch. He can't catch anything, but they got to find a place for his bat. So that's the outcome of today. I think they're still the same ball club, and they have a couple of things that maybe have become interesting. Larry, I'll turn over to you.
Well, I thought I don't know what was said already, but I really like the return quite a bit on the Rogers trade. I just think that seems like an unbelievable amount of talent for a guy who, he's hot right now, but I mean, anybody who's watched Tyler Rogers knows that if you're a right-handed hitter and you're disciplined enough to say, I'll shoot you to right field, you can wait. You could almost take a nap on the way to as the ball's. I mean, you seriously could have a meeting, as the ball's approaching the plate. These guys have so much time. We've seen it in past years. When you get into a series and the scouting reports are like, hey, we really want to beat this guy. Guys can beat him. You shoot him the other way, and you got all day to make the decision, and you can't strike you out. And so I think he's going to be a goat, and I don't mean the greatest of all time. I think he's going to be I think Doval and Rogers are both going to not like their experience in New York. That would be my thought on both those guys. I think they're really talented, and if you hang out here, their numbers are really good, but. Doval is way too slider happy, and the better teams, the scouting reports, I think you can beat him. I think he's going to have some high profile implosions in New York. Maybe I'm wrong. And I think Tyler, as I just said, I think there's ways to beat him. So I think the Giants, I like the return on the Rogers trade. I don't know if I like the return on the Doval trade. Jesse Rodriguez is interesting. He is a hitter, but he's a 5'10" hitter. The Yankees signed him for only $10,000 out of Venezuela, and it looks like he can play all over the place. Catcher, third, left, second. He's played first, but it sounds like
he needs some first baseman. We don't have enough first baseman for sure right now.
No,
he can hit. Look,
he can hit. Yeah.
If he doesn't hit 235, he's a big help. They got too many 235, 240 hitters. That's why they get overwhelmed. And Rick, you said it. They get overmatched in these fastball situations. 235 hitters. I'll tell you another thing. This little second baseman they drafted first. I'll even go on a limb. He's going to be the second baseman next year.
Keelan.
I think Kylan. One more. I think a year in the minors he's going to need, and he might get called up at some point. I don't think he starts.
Danny, if this is a bat to ball,
a polished hitter.
Yeah, he is. That's why I say he's still going to need a little time, and I don't think he starts the season in March with a big club. I will say he makes it up at some point next year, but I don't think he's
going to say he comes out and all right. Here's the next question for everybody. I was a little disappointed they didn't get any major league players back, and Jose Buto was the only one, and thank God they got him because they need an extra starter and they need the arm in the bullpen. But with all their prospects, the whole minor leaguers, it's like having money. It's like having a printing press for making money. Part with your minor leaguers. You're going to get new minor leaguers the next year and the year after that. I'm disappointed they didn't move any of their minor leaguers for a couple of major league pieces back. That's the one thing that I am disappointed today.
They waved the white flag. I mean, come on. I mean, there's no question about that. They waved the white flag. Look at the Padres added. I mean, I'll say this. My dream last night was that the Giants would somehow, that Buster would, because I saw that Preller was going to move that Leo DeVries kid, and I've seen tons of highlights of him, and he's just nice. I mean, you're talking about a really nice middle infielder who can hit. He looks like an all-star, and I was shocked the Padres were going to move him. And obviously the Padres were looking for a reliever. I was hoping that Doval and some package, maybe with Robbie Ray, could have gone there, and the Giants could have gotten a DeVries. Unfortunately, he went to San Diego. So, I was a little disappointed in that.
Do you
I was
think maybe?
surprised- Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Dan. Go ahead, Dan. Go for it.
I was just surprised that with all the pitching that was going and the starting pitching that was going late, that Ray was not an option for some of these teams. He's got a year plus, you got 2 playoff runs for him. And with what people were getting today, I was looking at the trade machine, and teams were overpaying for everybody. All the values were going to the sellers.
Yeah, but everything was prospects in the middle of the organization. How many, other than DeVries, how many top prospects were moved?
Yeah, you
today?
didn't see a lot of top prospects leaving.
Yeah, you saw a quantity going. So for Robbie Ray, if you can't get a major leaguer back for him, heck, you might as well hold on to him for this year and then deal with it next year at the trade deadline if you have to.
Yeah,
But, it always looks like you should get a major leaguer in these trades. But I'm going to get back to what Larry said. Larry, are you equating Rogers' effectiveness with Doval? Nobody could hit Rogers the whole year, left or right. Nobody hit the ball hard. Any hit they got was a squirrely 32 hopper. The guy was terrific.
Yeah, no, he's having a good year. I mean, my whole thing, and I don't know if you heard Jim Bowden on KMBR, but he's like, hey, look, man. He's like, I traded Jeff Shaw to get Paul Konerko. I traded Jeff Brantley to get Dimitri Young. I traded Dave Burba to get Sean Casey. I believe in trading relievers. He's like, relievers, basically what he said was relievers come out of nowhere and return to nowhere. And then if you have a hot reliever and you should hawk that hot reliever. And I'm totally of that belief. And if you don't believe it, go look at the save leaders from 3 years ago. Most of those guys aren't even closers anymore. So it's just I agree. I mean, Rogers was having a great year, but I know Rogers. I mean, I think I know who Rogers is. Rogers has been hidden in a deep pen. He's had a great run, but I wouldn't put my family's future on Rogers' success in October in the playoffs, even this year, despite his hot year. So I'm not a believer in Rogers. I think he's a gimmick, and I think if you really want to beat him, you can beat him.
It seemed like Buster Posey seemed like in this, his modus operandi seems to be he likes controllable guys. It seems like he was not sold on getting Reynolds. Look, if the Giants were in it, if they were 6 or 7 games above 500 and we're pretty close to that third wild card, maybe you get a Reynolds here and there. But it seems like Buster, he likes to have that control of some players, maybe. And the asking price, I mean, he probably saw what the hell he got for Tyler. And was probably like, well, getting some controllable players is going to cost quite a bit. I mean, look what the Padres had to give up for Mason Miller. I don't know if they're going to make him a starter or if they're going to keep him as a reliever, but they gave up quite a bit to go get that guy. And maybe he was just priced out on getting some of these controllable players that he may have wanted.
Well,
I'll say this about the thing with Rogers and Doval going to New York. I saw a couple of clips with the New York fans going crazy. KMBR put some tweets out with John Boy Media and his gang going, "We got Doval," and they were like going hysterical over the fact that they got Doval, and all the comments were fleeced. Brian Cashman fleeced the Giants. Wait till they get Doval on the mound. And he has a pitch clock delay.
I agree.
And then he implodes, and then he walks off the mound with his head down, looking like he could care less that what's happened.
They'll love that in New York.
They are gonna, and then they will, not only the fans, but then the media will jump, and he will. Oh my gosh, I can't see Rogers. I think will be okay. He's pretty solid guy. I don't know if Doval's going to survive.
I don't know, man. Yeah, I agree with you, Dan. That's going to be a tough market for him. I mean, look at it. I mean, he was in the softest market as you could be in San Francisco, right? To a certain extent. Right. I don't know how he's going to do that.
They may force him to throw fastballs. They may change him and get off that slider kick. Because whenever he couldn't control the fastball, 1 or 2 pitches, but he went back to the slider. and eventually they sat on it and then they hit them. We'll see. I'm not convinced. I know New York is trouble. Look, we know the history of players going to New York and things happening. I like Rogers. It's always soft contact. Who's ever playing second base for the Mets better be ready, because I'll guarantee you there's going to be a lot of ground balls to second. And then when you look at their whole bullpen, they've got a lot of things in the bullpen to work with. So I don't know. I think that I like the idea that teams that were thinking they're in it went for it. And Larry, this is a game of bullpens today. It's a different game than it was 10 years ago, or even maybe 5 years ago. You've got to get that big arm in the bullpen. How did the Dodgers trade May? How about that?
Yeah, for Tibbs.
For Tibbs. Tibbs going to come back and haunt the Giants for 10 years. He's going to be like Ron Stay and Steve Garvey.
Did anyone see that coming? The Dodgers trading Dustin May?
Didn't see that one coming.
He's a free agent. He's a free agent to be.
Is he
Makes
really?
sense.
Yeah. They got Tibbs for a guy that's going to walk at the end of the year.
Around that long?
See, I didn't. Yeah, I knew. I didn't know he was around.
May
that
is
long.
not
Crazy.
the same Dustin May he was before the two Tommy Johns. He's been very sporadic up and down this year. So I think the Dodgers are fine with they know they've got Yamamoto, Snell's coming back. They've got Glasnow's back. Look, the Dodgers just want to have 4 healthy starters going into the playoffs.
How about this, Dan? Do you think the Padres make a serious push to win the NL West?
I think this year, you know why I think this year was so crazy with so many trades? To me, we all thought in the offseason the Dodgers were invincible. We crowned them the champions. This is wide open. I think the Dodgers are can easily be had by any team in the National League that's in there. You got the Cubs, the Brewers, the Phillies, the Mets, and the Padres. The Dodgers may not even make it to the NLCS if they get into the wrong matchup in the division round.
It's a fact. That's a fact.
And you know what? The bottom line is LA needed, the Dodgers needed a Doval. They've been leaning on Tanner Scott. They're leaning on Kirby Yates. You really want to lean on Tanner Scott and Kirby Yates? It's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing when you think about all the money that they've spent, all the resources that they have. They will be leaning on Tanner Scott and Kirby Yates in the 9th inning. The only thing they did was they got Brock Stewart and an outfielder. You look at what the Phillies did. You look at what the Padres did. You look at what the Mets did. You look at what the Brewers are. I would say I would take the field against the Dodgers in the playoffs in the NL.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Well, the American League is wide open. The American League went wild.
Yeah.
Look at what Texas did, and Houston. How about
AL
Houston?
West.
How about Correa going back to Houston? Did you see that coming?
Yeah, you could have
They've been talking about it.
You could have a World Series like the NBA Finals, 2 small market teams. You had not real small market, but Milwaukee could get in there.
Toronto.
Toronto from
Toronto's the team. To me, Toronto is the
Seattle.
team.
Look what Seattle.
Toronto's pretty good.
Toronto's good. When the Giants played Toronto a couple weeks ago, it was like, oh my goodness. That guy Bargar and all that, they had 7 guys in their lineup hitting in the 280s in 2025. The 280 is like Tony Gwynn in 2025. And they've got every guy in their lineup was hitting 270 or better. The Giants had 7 guys hitting under 240.
I checked their team strikeout rate. It was 17%. The Giants is 23. And it's just hard to watch. And this is why we see the Giants only scoring 3 runs or less in half their games. It's because they don't have anybody that carries the line. You get runners in scoring position, inevitably you get an unproductive at bat, and it's usually a strikeout from somebody, and then the next guy pops out, inning over. 2nd and 3rd, 1 out, and there's always somebody that comes up and strikes out. They don't get the fly ball that drives in the run with a sac fly. This is
they're
a
hitting
team.
230.
It's because they strike out. How many guys in the lineup strike out 25% of the time? I can start with, Ramos, Adames, Chapman, Devers, Bailey, Schmidt, it's just goes on and on and on. And you can't build a sustainable rally when guys are striking out. And this is why Buster is now trying to revamp the roster with guys that make contact, because,
Yes.
you can't win games and score consistently. You watch Toronto. We watched them. Guys don't strike out. They put the ball in play. Good things happen. Look at yesterday, Pittsburgh. Simple ball in play, a comebacker, and it turns into a run because Walker is throwing to second base. He has no idea that the runner took off, but Bailey's got to jump up and yell, home,
that's
home,
right.
home.
That's right. It wasn't so much it was Walker's fault. It was Bailey's fault for not telling him home.
Yeah.
He didn't see the runner go on the pitch.
Exactly. The catcher,
but-
he's got to get up and jump out of
right.
that spot and yell home as loud as he can.
That's right. But speaking of Ramos, may I add a comment on Ramos, Marty?
Yeah, please.
You got to sit him down after that bonehead play where he didn't know the infield play. You learn that in Little League, maybe Little League, when you first start, when you're 7. I mean, and he's got to be benched. I mean, Melvin's philosophy was, nobody can hit. I got to keep this guy out there. That sends the message, though, everything's okay. I don't care what you guys do out there. It could be a total bonehead play. You're going to play. I don't think it was the right way to handle it. Sit him down for one day. I know he was contrite, but it's unacceptable. And that would have been a good opportunity to send a message to the rest of the team that it was unacceptable. Can't have that.
And that wasn't the first time he had a mental gaffe. He's had a few of these.
So where's that Melvin here?
More than a few.
Melvin vulnerable here?
He should
I
be.
think so. Should be.
Should
No,
be.
Melvin is gone. Okay, I mean, freaking
This year?
vulnerable. What vulnerable? What are we
Well,
talking
I
about?
don't-
Free up
I mean,
them next
They
year.
went. No, they didn't. They didn't sign any extension. They just
picked up
did
the
Yeah,
his,
they did.
they just no, they didn't. No, they did not sign him to an extension. They just took his option and they exercised his option.
Yeah,
he had an
so-
option in his contract. They exercised the option. They just exercised the option to try to help him save face because the players aren't listening to his coaches. We're talking about Ramos. Ramos doesn't respect Matt Williams. He ran through Matt Williams' stop sign the other day, and he got talked to on the bench by some guy named Christensen for like 12 minutes. I don't think I've ever seen anybody get lectured at a big league level in a dugout more than Christensen talked to Ramos that day. I was like, what the hell? Are you guys going to buy property together? I mean, what's going on over here? I mean, are we clearing escrow? I mean, what is going on? That was ridiculous. What's going on with Ramos is that he's one of the better hitters on your team, and I think maybe he's not taking defensive reps as he should and maybe you can't talk to him because he's like, hey man, I'm the straw that stirs the drink in this crappy lineup. But Melvin's gone, man. That whole charade about giving him the extension or going through his option, that was just for this season. He is dead man walking. I would be shocked.
Yeah, you can't bring him back. If you bring him back
you
next
cannot
year,
bring him back. I love Bob Melvin. I love Bob Melvin as a guy. I talked to him in spring training. I really think he's a good man. This team is underachieving. They have sleptwalked through this season. They have been absolute garbage, embarrassing since the Devers trade. They make a daily fundamental error that absolutely flies right in the face of his staff and his ability to get these guys to play good baseball. He underachieved bad in San Diego. He's taken that act here. It ends at the end of this year.
All right.
I think the
that's
noise
a
is
prediction.
getting louder. I think
Larry,
it's
do
going
you think Melvin will be back next year?
No.
No. Okay.
I don't. Do you guys? I mean, if we were sitting here, if we had to bet everything that we own on him coming back next year, you would wager everything you own on him coming back after this team has absolutely been atrocious. This is one of the most embarrassing. I've seen worse Giants teams than this. This is one of the most unprofessional playing teams I've seen since I've watched the Giants. And I've been watching them since the mid-'70s.
I like that, Rob. Nick Hundley would be a good manager.
They should have gone with Stephen Vogt. Should have
went with Vogt. I like Yadier Molina of the Cardinals coming over I want to see somebody outside the Giants organization. We've done enough of this inbred, constantly bringing back guys from the 2010 through 14 era. We're still living in the past. I was disappointed that they didn't step out in the offseason and get Billy Owens with the A's. I think the Giants need
bring Bochy back.
I think that's done. I mean, Boch is over 70. I think he's probably ready to step down. I don't think he wants to come back into this mess. Yeah, I just think, the Giants need to step out and, Buster did one thing that disappointed me. Not that Zach Menasson's bad in any way, but he was part of the Farhan deal. Farhan brought him over when he came over at the end of 18. He brought him from the Brewers. He was Farhan's right-hand man along with Jeremy Shelley. And you had an opportunity to get outside the organization and get some fresh thinking, fresh blood, where you have other ideas. Look at what the A's draft. I know they draft higher, but look at the A's. If you gave me the A's roster right now, just give me switch the Giants and A's completely. I'll take it in a heartbeat. And the pitching that the A's don't have, I don't care. I'll go out and buy pitching and make some trades with the talent that's on the roster. The Giants, talent-wise, are so far back of the A's, and it's not even close. And as far as this Giants lineup going forward, I'll say this. You didn't trade Marco Luciano. It's time to play him in the second half because he's out of options.
Where are you going to play him?
Here's what I'm doing. I'm putting Devers at first base. I'm moving off of Flores. Goodbye, Wilmer. Great knowing you. DFA him. Put him on waivers.
Don't
Ramos.
DFA Wilmer. No, say it ain't
well,
so.
Put him. They should have found anybody to just take a body and get a trade. But
I need to hear that Friends intro again.
Yeah. Put loose. I defensively, this is not the greatest lineup. I understand, but put Luciano in left field, put Lee in center, put Matos in right, bring Ramos off the field and let him DH, let him clear his head from left field, Devers at first. I want to see what Luciano and Matos can do for 50 games. And if they stink, you move off of them next year and you're done with them. But this playing around, not knowing if these guys are good enough to be major leaguers or not is a joke. It's time to let these guys just sink or swim.
Well, it looks like Grant McCray and Kai Wai Tang, they were scratched today from the River Cats. So it looks like
I don't know when they're going to give Luciano a chance. The guy they need some guys that can stir it up. He's got 19 homers. Yes, it's the Pacific Coast League. I understand the ball flies in a lot of those parks. But you know what? Sometimes guys come up to the major leagues and they all of a sudden find a groove because they're like, I'm in the big show. And instead of playing in front of 6,000 people or 2,000 people, I'm playing in front of 40. And they get a little pumped up and they have a run. Look, the worst thing that can happen is he doesn't make it and you move off of him. There's two good things that can happen if he's successful. You can trade him for some value or you can keep him. But you're never going to know if he doesn't play. And I don't get it.
See, I'm not crazy about Matos at all. I haven't seen anything in Matos that turns me on. And Luciano can't play. Where are you going to play him? Left field?
He plays left field. That's where he's playing in AAA.
Can't play the infield.
You can't play left field
That's
either.
another liability in the field then. So you got rid of Yastrzemski, who's a good outfielder, and you got Luciano, who's lousy. Matos is not that good, and Lee's okay, but not great.
Right,
So
but what are you going to do?
Outfield.
What do you
You
do?
don't. I don't have corner outfielders in the big leagues for their defense. All right. I mean, I don't remember Kevin Mitchell being the greatest defensive left fielder. I don't remember, Ricky Henderson with the Yankees was hardly an awesome defensive left fielder. I mean, there's only one, Barry Bonds, 1993. It's an offensive position. I don't want to hear about Mike Yastrzemski. We're missing Mike Yastrzemski. What are you, related to Mike Yastrzemski? Are you his brother? I mean, what is going on here? Mike Yastrzemski was a minor league player with the Orioles who had a nice little resurgence, and Giants fans are wed to him like he's, Cepeda, McCovey, or Mays. He's not.
No one's arguing in favor of Yastrzemski, Larry. Nobody.
No, but I mean, lots of people. I'm not picking on you, but I'm just lots of people are like, man, they had to get rid of Yastrzemski.
No, I don't feel that.
What are we doing?
I'm good with it. I'm good with it.
Okay.
I didn't suggest that. I didn't.
So here's the thing. Let's get off this. Do you feel better about the team today than you did a couple of days ago before these trades? And when I say the team, I mean the organization, the minor leagues, the whole thing. Do you feel better about it with what they picked up or not? And that's
55-45. I feel a little bit better, not great.
To me, there was one move out there to make, and it was Robbie Ray to the Yankees for Spencer Jones. That was the move. You want to shake things up. You add a big bat. You want to add a big bat. There's a big bat. Or if you could have gotten a big time prospect for Robbie Ray, Robbie Ray was the guy that I was like, oh wow, maybe they ought to consider this, because I'm not even 100% sure that Robbie Ray is going to be healthy next year. And my biggest fear is not that the Giants didn't trade Robbie Ray. My biggest fear was that they're going to sign him to an extension for like 5 years on $150 million and get stuck with a hurt pitcher. So I would have moved him. They didn't move Rodon. They didn't move Bumgarner. They didn't move Gausman. They didn't move this guy. And it's just like, do we need this rebuild to take? I know the Giants can't even say rebuild, but if they can't move one of their starting pitchers at the deadline and get a killer King's ransom, a Pete Crow Armstrong, this rebuild is going to take like 15 years. And what are we doing here? So it's like, let's get on with it. The Giants are so worried about message sending in empty ballparks in September, while the A's are, that old billboard is totally true. You built a ballpark, we're building a team. They're still worried about their ballpark and their filled ballpark, and the A's are still building a team. And this rebuild for the Giants is going to go for the next 10 years.
Do they have the wrong guy in Posey making these decisions for the ball club? Do they need an A.J. Preller type guy? Dave Dombrowski kind of guy?
What they needed was Zach Manasian to be Ned Colletti. They needed somebody who could sit there and say, you know what, let's pump the brakes. I mean, I'm not saying that Zach Manasian doesn't have ability, but I mean, Buster could use. There's all the structure of baseball that's successful today is that you get a young, energetic GM, but you still have that older guy in-house. Who is the adult who's done it? Who's the guy in baseball operations that has pelts on the wall, that's actually done it, that has power? And I don't see that in the Giants system. I mean, I guess you could say Buster, but Buster's pelts on the wall as a player. He doesn't have pelts he's not Dave Dombrowski. He's not Al Rosen. He's not one of the. Come on, this guy's brand new to this job. He should have been force-fed. It didn't have to be Ned Colletti. I'm just a Ned Colletti head. But there should have been some Dombrowski, some veteran guy who's been there in that job. The Yankees have 5 of these guys, including Sabian. Maybe Sabian. I mean, that would have been nice. But, maybe that was too hard for Buster to have Sabian sitting there. But they should have had a veteran with him, I thought.
The best move? The best move I liked was moving off of Yaz, honestly. The prospects did nothing for me, to be honest with you. I mean, they may be something, they may not. But moving off of Yaz, you cleared that obstacle. For some reason, they kept going to Yaz no matter what was going on. They always went to Yaz, and I get it. His defense kept the club in the games, but his bat just didn't. So now we're going to get a look and see what Matos is going to do. Looks like McRae may get a run. Considering, you're going to face a lot of right-handed pitchers, you're probably going to see McRae get a pretty big run. I think Matos is also going to get the same amount as well. So it's going to be interesting. I like that move, because what was the purpose of throwing Yaz out there for the last 2 months?
Here's the issue I have.
You had a pitching and defense team.
Yeah.
That's what you were built on, pitching and defense. In this park, the right fielder's a big deal. We saw some right fielders, even in the 6 games they lost, they got lost in right field. The balls were flying all over the place. They couldn't cover the ground out there. So the right fielder is, in a pitching and defense park, you need a solid guy. And that's why I'll go with Rick. Matos, for me, defensively, is not the guy. Luciano's not going to be the guy either. But I agree In left field, you can sort of hide somebody. It's a little easier to hide someone. But in this park, right field, you got to have a real right fielder here.
Wouldn't Grant McCray feel that? He's a pretty good fielder.
Grant McCray's got tremendous speed, and Grant McCray can do stuff.
Here's
But
the problem I have with McCray.
I want to say one more thing about Posey, though.
Yeah.
You know, and I love what he did. When he came in to get away from Farhan, and the whole thing was huge. And look, they're drawing 40,000 a game. They're making money now. They're back to being the Giants again. Fans love coming out there. They love coming out.
It's a better brand of ball. It's a better brand of ball
because they win late in the game. The games they win are very exciting. You know, they've played 66, 67 1 or 2 run games out of 109, something like that. I mean, they're very exciting games, and people like to come out and see that kind of stuff. But I just think he's passive as a baseball president and general manager. And what Larry said, I won't go through all the names again, but today I really would have liked to have seen a little bit. Don't come out later and say, well, gee, we're not playing that well, and yeah, we would have liked to have done better. That's bullshit. Come on, stop talking about that stuff. Say, look, we're not playing well. We stink right now, okay? And the market that for what we have is not out there for the players the way they perform. That's what Brian Sabian would say. He'd say, look, you guys stink. I can't get rid of you. I can't trade you. There is no market for Verlander. Who's going to is he going to start the third game of a playoff for you? No. The whole starting pitching market was very soft today. It was really bullpen guys. But I just want someone in this organization who calls the shots to say, hey, we've got 30 prospects, okay? We can move 5 of them. We can move 7 of them and try to get a major leaguer back. That's what had to be done today, whether it was getting a catcher, getting another first baseman, getting a right fielder. I don't care what it was, a starting pitcher, a bullpen guy. Part with the prospects. And to do that, you have to have nerve, and you have to have had the ability to do it and have done it before. And to come away from this thing that Yastrzemski for Junior Marte and 4 people from the Yankees who we have no idea who they are, maybe one is close to being a hitter, for your closer, for Doval, and getting 3 or 4 players, thank God, 1 major leaguer for Rogers, it didn't do it for me. It did not do it for me.
All right, well, we'll go back to the one that won 3 World Series in 5 years, right? It was pitching and defense. They kind of got away from that. Now, I thought they were focusing on that now, but they got a lineup that they get two guys on base and nobody out. They'll get 2 strikeouts and a pop-up, it seems like, as more often than not. As Dan said, get somebody that can put the ball in play. I liked Kwan. What did they make an effort to get Kwan? I don't know. But that, and everybody talks about a power hitter, but power hitters don't want to come here, and they can't hit home runs here. Look what Devers is doing.
Yep, Devers is giving you it in big time.
I'm still in favor of a guy that can make contact.
Yeah, I would say this, guys.
Devers is getting
you look at what the Twins did today. They got rid of like 8 to 10 players off of their roster. They were in a fire sale. But you know what? I like that, and I think that's what Marty was trying to say is maybe not to that extent, but this was a perfect opportunity. To me, the Giants players gave Buster a mandate this week. You lost 0-6. You went 2-8 in your last 10 games. I said when they had 10 games to go before the deadline, the Giants need to go 6-4, 7-3, ideally, to show Buster. And I said, anything, if they go 4-6, 5-5, it's kind of like that. What do we do? Do we sell? Do we buy? They went 2-8. And they clearly said, we don't have the horses to compete. He should have sold off Ray. He did Doval and Yaz, but I would have gotten rid of Bailey. I would have moved Bailey at this time because his value is still pretty high compared to what it's going to be in about a year or two. And when they go to that ABS system or the whatever they go to, Bailey's value is not going to be as high. I would have got rid of Bailey. I like what Larry said the other day.
Look what the Padres did with minor leaguers.
Yes.
O'Hearn, Larry, your guy Laureano, Mason Miller,
Yeah.
Sears. You want a lefty in the NL West. Everyone's vulnerable to lefties. They got Sears. And they got this little catcher from Kansas City that everybody loves.
Oh,
and what did they give up? They gave up Kolick and Bregert. Did they give up a major leaguer?
You forgot O'Hearn. They also got O'Hearn as well.
I said O'Hearn and O'Hearn and Mariano. Look what, and he gave up nothing. He gave up minor leagers.
No, he gave up the number 3 prospect in the sport right now, Leo DeVries.
You'll get C.J. Abrams again, okay?
But I mean, let's just say this: he gave up a prospect that would make Eldridge look like garbage. So he gave up a prospect that is better than any prospect the Giants have. That's how he got him. I mean, that's how he got Mason Miller.
Well, if he thinks Mason Miller can win a pennant for him, he went out and got him a pitcher.
Yeah. Here's my biggest problem with this thing of you're bringing up McRae. We've talked about this team strikes out way too much, and Buster is trading for guys and drafting guys that make contact. And there looks like they're calling up McRae, who is a lefty, is going to see the majority of playing time because 75% of the pitchers are right-handed. So you're going to sit Matos again. Matos strikes out about 15% of the time. McRae at Sacramento this year, 129 strikeouts and 468 plate appearances, 27.5%. How's that going to translate in the big leagues? Try 32%.
He struck out 30% of the time when he was up last time.
Yeah, and he's going to strike out over 30% of the time again.
He's got
why are we doing this?
Because he's got.
So who's going to be the right fielder? Just Matos?
No.
Well,
you're going to have to. You can't leave him out there alone. You're going to have to have some left-handed hitter, and that's either Gilbert, who from the Mets, they'll bring him up at some point.
And that may be the answer.
Or let McRae play out there a little bit with Matos. I mean, that's the one thing. It did open up that one position for a young player.
Tell you what, they're probably going to regret is in about 2 years. They're going to say, "Why didn't we have James Tibbs?"
It's still a crazy year. You win 6 games, you win 6 out of 7, and all of a sudden you're back in this thing. Not that you're going anywhere, but there's still a lot of baseball left to be played here.
True.
Still a lot of baseball left.
That doesn't sound hopeful. That sounds like a threat.
They have the same team.
There's a lot of baseball left. Yeah. There's more of this garbage. What do you think of how's Bo Davidson looked since he's been recalled to Double-A? Because, I've heard from some people that Bo Davidson might be on the fast track, and if he hit the ground running in Double-A and did well, that he might be a September call-up. He's kind of an interesting athlete. He wasn't considered to be a hot prospect when they drafted him, and he's outperformed it. Has anybody seen what Davidson has done in Double-A?
Taking a look right now, see what we got.
Yeah, see what Davidson has done in Double-A. He's not a kid. He bats left, throws right. He's a 6'1", 205-pound. He's 23. It's not like he's 20. He's
got 28 at bats, 2 home runs, batting 250, 276 on base, 740 OPS, 11 strikeouts in his 28 appearances.
I mean, you got to go young. I mean, that's what you should be doing anyway. I mean, Yaz needed to move on just because they need to go young. Whether it's Matos, Davidson, whether it's Hunter Bishop, whoever it's going to be, they're going to have to go young the rest of the year. The outfielder that they got from the Mets sounds like he might be a guy that could be called up soon. Also, it seems like the reliever, did he automatically get called up, by the way?
Yeah, he's on the roster.
So the reliever's up. Yeah, and the outfielder could be up probably soon, huh?
Yeah, and
he was optioned.
Tidwell is a guy who's pitched in the big leagues before. He's had a couple of games in the big leagues, but he's inconsistent. They probably have guys like him. So they replenished a little bit of what they gave up in the Boston trade. They got a couple of pitchers back, a little bit more depth, and they got an outfielder back as well, and a young kid. So
I want
they're
to ask.
still the same. Basically, they're going to play the Mets and the Pirates in Washington, and it's still the same kind of team.
Same team.
Basically.
Yep. Well, let me ask you guys this, because it's my contention that the Giants are very poorly constructed when you have Chapman, Adames, Devers, and Lee all signed to, Chapman's here for 5 more years, Adames 6, Devers 8, and then Lee has an opt-out after 4, so this is year 2.
He'll be opting in, I believe.
Yeah, and if he's not going to opt out, you're stuck with him. And if it's a lose-lose situation, because if he gets good, he's opting out, and if he stinks, you're stuck with him for 4 more years. And you got all your money tied up into those 4 guys, and they're getting older. How is Matt Chapman? He's 32. At age 35, we're seeing he's not a guy that is a clutch performer. He's a great defender. He's a great clubhouse guy, but he doesn't produce when it comes to RBIs. He's never had 80 RBIs but once, and that was 19 in the juice ball season. What are the Giants going to do with this? You're saying, okay, we need to rebuild, but you got 4 guys, and you can't trade any of them. Maybe you can trade Devers.
But Danny, the 4 guys are young enough. Chapman's 32, big deal. It's still a productive age.
He's not a productive hitter, though.
He's 25, 80, 243. I've said this all year long. That's who he is, and he plays perfect defense. Look, Lee is a young kid. He just hasn't panned out yet. Adames is still a young man, he's
only 29, yeah.
Devers is what? How old is Devers?
28.
It's nothing. These guys have to play better. It's not that they got stuck with guys that are in contracts that are aging on them. It's that they're not playing up to their whatever they expected their ability to be.
But who's Rafi Devers?
So you need a second baseman. You need a second baseman. You need to say, that's why I say maybe the kid who is the first round pick can play second. Maybe that's the guy from Tennessee. Everyone's from Tennessee. You got him. You've got an open left field. You've got an open right field, and you've got a catcher who you could carry if everybody else hit, and you don't have a first baseman. So those are positions where you can get players to fit without worrying about your core. Your core is here. It ain't going anywhere. But you got to get people for these other positions. And today, I don't think they added people for those positions. I'll get back to it again. I'll say it my last time. When you got minor league prospects, if it's Eldridge, all the other names, I can't even think of them right now, move them and get an O'Hearn in here. Get someone who can play.
Why would you want O'Hearn when a team's going nowhere and he's a free agent?
I'm just saying, I picked his name out of that blue. Quan, bring in people who can play. That's what has to happen with Posey. You're stuck with the core. It's here. It ain't going anywhere. And the starting pitching, basically, you got Webb and who knows what else.
Right. Webb and Ray guaranteed through 26. After that, who knows?
And
I thought maybe Isaiah Kiner Falefa would have been on their list.
Put him in. Yeah. Why not?
In the offseason, you could go after an Ozzy Albies. I think there's a club option. The Braves may not exercise. They got a $7 million club option on Albies for 26.
Luis Arias is a free agent in the offseason.
He's a free agent as well.
Where are you going to play Arias, though? You got 18 first basemen.
Play him at second.
He's okay at second. He doesn't have a ton of range.
But he's a hitter. He's just a hitter. At some point, if you want to have a good hitting team, at some point you got to prioritize hitting, over other things. But Arias is the kind of bat that it would be nice. I don't know about you guys, but it's like watching these Giants games, especially at home, when they fall behind by more than 3 runs. And you're looking at this lineup that has so many shitbirds at the bottom of it. and you look at this lineup and you're like, it's going to take, they have no extra base power. They have no speed. It's going to take like a 5-hit inning to plate 3 or 4 runs. That's what it feels like at home because they can't hit the ball out in their own yard. And it's just they came off of that series with Atlanta. Now, granted, it's Atlanta in July, smoking hot, right? But their bats were alive. They scored 9 runs. They came home for 3 night games, and their bats did absolutely nothing. And they just totally came off that road trip and just died. So I don't blame Buster for anything he did. The clubhouse spoke loudly to him, and the message was clear. We ain't up to this. And so, and I'm glad that it went this way because they weren't up to this. And it was pretty clear. This is not just they're not playing great. This is the worst team in baseball in the last 6 weeks that's playing ugly, horrible, bad, poor fundamental ball that has a terrible stench of dysfunction between their coaching staff. Matt Williams has been horseshit in the third base coaching box all year, and I like Matt Williams. He's been horrible, and it's pretty clear that the players don't listen to the coaches because we saw Ramos run right through Matt Williams' stop sign. So I don't, and then the other day when Ramos had that boneheaded play where he got tagged out at third, Matt Williams immediately flips around and stares into the dugout at Bob Melvin. And it's like, okay, it's like, I don't know what you're looking at him for. I mean, you guys are probably more responsible for that moment than almost anybody else in the ballpark. I don't know. I mean, it's just you're the third base coach. He's the manager. This is your guys' team that's playing this fundamental disaster night after night. And he's looking around like he's like a vendor, like he's not part of this thing, like he's an usher in Section 108. It's like, bro, you're part of this thing. So I just get the vibe that, there's not a good vibe with this staff, with this team this year.
Well, how can you have a good vibe the way they're playing right now? I think they were fine. I think they were fine until they tanked. But as I mentioned early on, I hate to get too negative about it. We're all being negative, but I don't know how you can't be negative about it. But it's just that the whole lineup is playing poorly. The whole lineup, just Adames is the only one that is hitting right now. I mean, nobody gets on base. Nobody gets a key hit. Nobody. They went 0 for 23 last weekend, runners in scoring position.
Yeah.
So that's
putrid.
That's why I say, and that's why going back to what Dan said early on, they got to go back to this putting the ball in play and getting on base. I mean, when they get these situations where they pop up and strike out, even though they got guys on base, it just takes the team right down the tubes. And that's got to be changed because they can't win with this situation where they're waiting for a 3-run home run and no one can make contact.
Yeah,
they had 2 stolen base attempts in the month of July.
2 attempts. Wow.
2 stolen base attempts in July. You're right. They can't. It's a better group of talent than Farhan's no-name cluster. But you know what? They're playing at a brand of ball that is just putrid to watch because they don't do anything. They don't move runners along. They're not fundamentally sound. They don't have power. They don't have speed. It's a tough watch.
But we got great ball dudes, though. We got great ball dudes.
You know what it feels like? It's like, like in basketball, college basketball players have a hard time shooting. In the pros, guys can shoot left and right. When somebody hits a big 3 in an NCAA tournament game to like make a college team go up by 7, it feels insurmountable. Well, that's what the Giants feel like when they fall behind by 3 runs in the 6th inning. It feels it's 3 runs in the 6th. You have a bunch of at-bats. That's you're in the game. Not them. They are not only, they've lost 8 times this year, 1-0. They cannot manufacture a run to save their life.
Well, they win late and people like it.
Did you see tonight the Braves played the
Reds?
The Reds, and Atlanta scored 8 runs in the top of the 8th to go up 11-3, and Cincinnati came back with 8 in the bottom of the 8th. The Giants would never do that. But let me say this. Ned Colletti, I had him on a couple weeks ago, and I asked him the question. They were about 90 games in. to the season, and I said, is this something that when you look at a team and you say, can they get hot, or is this really who they are? He says, I think what the team is showing you, that's who they are.
Yeah.
So my question is, what's going to be different next year? If this is who they are, and we saw Adames hit like $1.50 for half the season almost, and then he gets a little hotter in the second half. And Chapman, as you said, is a 240 hitter that's going to drive in about 75 runs and give you 25 homers. But most of those homers are what I would call like NBA garbage time homers, that they don't come in the clutch. Most of them, they come in games they're up big or down big, or, he does occasionally hit something when it's meaningful, but that's not his nature. Devers has nobody in the lineup to protect him. If I see Willie Adames, if I'm a right-handed pitcher and I'm facing Devers and I got Adames and Chapman to follow, I'm not giving in to Devers. Why would I? I know I can get Adames to chase.
They struck him out. They struck him out yesterday in a key situation, Devers.
Yeah.
And they pitched around him. They went right after him.
Well, they did go 3-1 at one point to him late in the game, and I think
They
he
came
flied
back.
out. Then they came back, and but
I'd like to hear a ray of sunshine from Larry. Larry, do you have anything positive to say about the Giants? Come on.
Yeah, I mean, I do actually. I do. As bad as it seems, right? Because they are not going to the playoffs, and they haven't gone to the playoffs for 11 years. It's been a long time, right?
21. 21.
Well, since they won a playoff series, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
But I would say to Giants fans that before you get over the top, super negative, just understand where you sit in the grand scheme of things. The Giants are an iconic, rich franchise. The Giants have tremendous momentum financially as a business. They packed the house for the Dodgers. It was Dodger fans, but it was a packed house. The ballpark mints money. The Giants financially have as good a setup as almost anybody in the industry of baseball as far as finances, right? They still are living on their past laurels in their championship years. Otherwise, the place would be empty, and it's not empty. It's a very non-discerning crowd in Northern California. They just want to feel good, get outside, get a little sun, root for their Giants, see some progress, see some entertaining ball, and get in the playoffs and take their chances. I don't think the people here are crazy or asking for too much. I think it's all set up for them to have not just a good run, but an enormously successful run. What they have to do is they have to start making better baseball decisions and stop hiding behind the truth of their situation, which is that the Dodgers are not better than you because they have more money. You're both rich. It's like having Giants bitching about the Dodgers is like the guy in Pacific Heights bitching about his neighbor. Oh, this guy's he's got this and so do you. You're both living in Pacific Heights. You're both rich. So the Giants have lots and lots and lots of money. They have to make better baseball decisions. What I would do is this is what I would do. I would start by taking right now, start talking to everybody in the industry, find the superstar manager to be, whether that's a coach, a player, Jason Varitek. I don't know who it is. It's probably a catcher who was really good somewhere. Find the next great manager. Maybe it's a AAA manager. Maybe it's a AA manager. Go find the next great manager that
might
you
be in
think
Korea.
Who knows?
AA. Maybe
maybe the right solution is to go back to Boch. I don't know what the solution is, but find the right manager. Melvin, I think, to bring him back in 2026 is too uninspiring for this fan base. I think they need a little bit. I think they need a new face to this thing. But other than that, I would say Giants fans, don't be down, be up, because your farm system is on the uptick. Your revenue is spectacular. Your support for the franchise is still very much there, and everything's there except for good baseball decisions. You're going to be back if you can make good baseball decisions. You have the money, you have the fan base, you have the stadium, you can do it. So I would say the Giants, when I was a kid, they were a distant thing to the Dodgers. The Dodgers won 3 World Series in the 70s. The Giants were horrible, and they sold no tickets, and it was a disaster, and they were very poor. Those days are over. The Giants are rich. Their farm system is starting to uptick. They've got a beautiful stadium. They also have an unbelievable facility in Scottsdale that I toured in March. They got a lot of momentum. Buster is the right guy. I do think there was going to be some bumps in the road because he has no experience, but do not listen to this stream and listen to our negativity and be like, they're cooked forever. They're not cooked forever.
It's a ray of sunshine, Larry. That was a ray of sunshine.
All right.
Okay. Thank you.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you guys this. Larry and Marty, you would know this. You brought up, Larry, the money. They have the money. They don't seem to have the think out of the box mentality that San Diego and AJ Preller have, that goes out and gets guys and aggressively does things. Why aren't the Giants going out and shopping Robbie Ray to a contender and offering to pay half of the salary for their number one prospect? They're one of the top prospects, because Robbie Ray has $25 million next year. Okay. So a team takes him on and has to pay 12.5. And this year, whatever he's got left, he's got what, $8 million left. Only going to cost you $4 million to have Ray the rest of the year. So you get Robbie Ray for $16 million for two playoff runs. Why can't the Giants think like that? They did it with Will Wilson. They took on Zach Cozart's salary of $12 million and basically just ate it. Does ownership not want to do this anymore because it didn't work out there and they feel like they got screwed by that Cozart deal and Will Wilson never panned out? I mean, why aren't they using their resources? Because they've got plenty of it and they're way under the salary threshold for where they get taxed.
Well, how about this? How about this? Look at the San Diego Padres. How many bloated contracts they got? Manny Machado, right? Tatis, Bogarts. Who else do they got? I'm not sure if they got any other big contracts other than that. You know what the Padres are doing? They're emptying the clip of their prospects and getting major league talent. That's what they do. And then what happens after that? They wind up, and Marty, I think you talk about this, right? Every year, every December and every June, you have a draft. It's the amateur draft and it's the international draft. And that's what the Padres do. They sit there, they draft all these guys, and then they ship them off to go get that MLB talent. Maybe that's something the Giants need to do. Maybe you got to empty out a little bit of your farm system. Now, the only thing that sucks is Farhan didn't leave it in a very good position in the first place. So I think Buster's going to have to replenish that to a certain extent to be able to go do those type of moves, because that's what Padres, they don't have a minor league system anymore. They're going to have to go get guys off the street and say, hey, can you play second base? Because it's pretty crazy. They're bold. There's no doubt about it. AJ Preller, he's a guy that wants to go get something done, and he's not afraid, whether it's spending money or whether it's emptying his farm system to get MLB talent.
Yeah, but why aren't the Giants going out and using their resources and saying, okay, we've got a high-priced guy. Maybe I think that's what scared off teams, is they didn't want to take Ray's salary on. And why don't the Giants say, you know what, we'll take care of that problem. Don't worry about it. Give us one of your better players. Give us a couple of pitching prospects that are top pitching prospects that will replace Ray. You know,
I mean, how do you think the Dodgers got Mookie Betts?
Well,
they took on all that money. Use your financial. I agree with Danny wholeheartedly. What do the Giants have that other teams don't have? They have money. They don't have prospects. They have money. So use your money. Use your money.
It's judgment too.
Yeah.
It's judgment of getting the right players in. And look, a lot of times you talk to the manager before the game, and he talks about the bullpen and who's available, who's not available. And then after the game, you talk to them, and then they tell you who was available, the truth. It's like we don't know, Dan, what was said to other teams about Ray, what offers were coming back on Ray. We don't know that. Ray is one of their bright sunshine pluses of this year, and I don't think they were ready to give him up. I think
they're going to sit and hold on to him, and they're going to go nowhere. They're not ready to win next year.
Just telling
you,
Ray
will walk.
Danny,
They
Dan,
won't trade him at the deadline.
Don't get
They'll
upset.
nothing for him.
Dan, don't get upset. It's okay.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying this is the
the
story.
way-
This is what they do.
I know, but you don't. There's no reason to get upset about it. This is the way they approach it right now. So they didn't do it. Let's see what happens the rest of the year. But
This is where
get
their hat
players.
sits right there in third or fourth place every year.
Yeah.
It ain't gonna
Well,
move
you gotta
up.
get players. You got to get players, and that's the whole thing. You got to get
Well,
players.
Yeah, but
But, here's the thing. Look at the guy that if I had seen Buster in May or June and he was asking me what I thought, I'd be like, hey man, go take your assets and find your Pete Crow Armstrong. That's what I would have said. Go find your Pete Crow Armstrong. Go find somebody that you can get at the deadline, scheme any way you need to scheme, and get a foundation piece player that can be your representative in the 26 or 27 or 28 All-Star game. That's what that's what I think they needed to do. And I don't have a real problem with what they did today. I don't know about these prospects. Somebody's like in the chat, tell us about the prospects. We could read you the reports, but I mean, we're just reading it to you. I've heard some good things about the pitcher, the hitter that they got from the Mets. I've heard some good things about the guys in the Rogers deal, and I've heard some bad things about some of the guys in the Doval trade. But I don't know who these prospects are. It's going to take some time to kind of sift through and see what they got or didn't get. But to me, it's all about try to take advantage of somebody else at the deadline and speed up your rebuild. And I think that moving relievers, I think, was right, but I don't think they necessarily sped up their rebuild. And here's the thing on Robbie Ray. I get you. It's like this is so frustrating. It's like, what is the plan? Well, if you said what the plan was at the beginning of the year, you'd be like, okay, we're going to trade for this guy, and then we're going to try to keep building. But then once you got a little bit of success, just a little tiny bit of success, all of a sudden it was like, oh, it's all about 2025. No, stay the course. And you should have had a master plan to move Robbie Ray and to set him up. But instead, no, you fell in, and all your fans are like, don't trade him. We'll be terrible without him. You're not going to win anyway. And it's like, stay the course, stay with the plan. But no, the Giants are such a creature. They're so undisciplined. They're so about the moment, and they dream about these. We just get in, it'll be like 2012, and it's like, come on, guys. What have you seen? The Cubs series should have been when was that? That was a month ago or 2 months ago. That should have been an indication right there that you were so far away from the top teams in the division or in the league that you should have had one plan and one plan only. But they got a little taste of some success, and they were dreaming this dream, and they missed another opportunity to get a star for Robbie Ray. So once again, the Giants don't have a star. They don't have a star coming up. They don't have, it's like, so maybe DeVries would have been a star. They should have beaten the A's, but now the A's in Vegas are going to have this Leo DeVries, and the Giants are still looking for a star. And it's like, how long do you want people to spend $500 to go to a baseball game to see no stars? I mean, that they better rectify that pretty quick, or people are eventually. I mean, I know there's a lot of people with more money than sense walking around at these baseball games, but eventually they're going to figure it out. So I would suggest speed up this rebuild, and if that means move Robbie Ray in the offseason, then move Robbie Ray in the offseason.
Eric,
You're not going to be a World Series contender with Robbie Ray. I'm pretty sure about that.
Go ahead, Eric.
JK's $25. Look at that. We all chat for hours about potential players, strategic moves, etc. Then reality hits. Next game, they have Verlander, Webb, Ray. Then what? They're bad enough in the box with 3 starters. They're cooked. Thanks, guys.
All right. That's a good
$25, Jay.
Very good. That's the best question of the night, Jay. Thank you. Rick, you want to say something to wrap it up here?
Well, I'd just like to say that I was encouraged with Larry's little ray of sunshine there for a while, but we're ending on a kind of a negative note. But as I was reflecting on all this, I have to say that I don't have anything good to say either, to tell you the truth. So I just I thought they played over their head for about 2 months, and I guess it was just it just wasn't there. Just ultimately it wasn't there, and they are who they are. So we live with it for a while.
What do you guys think George Steinbrenner would have done with this ball club?
Oh my God!
After Wednesday's game, I think Melvin
would have hired Billy Martin.
I think
Melvin.
I think Melvin would have got the axe yesterday, and to make a
no,
statement.
they would have fired the grounds crew keeper. Phil Espino got fired, if I remember, one time because of a bad hop on opening day. So I'm sure maybe what's the trainer's name? What's his name again? Marty, please. Longtime Giants trainer who's there right now.
Oh, Dave Greshner.
Dave Greshner. Greshner would be out. The grounds crew guy would be out. A couple ushers probably would have been canned. That would be my guess.
Well, how about some good fundamental baseball for
Eric?
Jim?
Another
baseball.
super chat, Rob Iman, $6. Yeah, if you keep pursuing stars and neglect the farm, you will become the next San Jose Sharks, being dragged, kicking, and screaming into rebuild.
All right, go ahead, Rick.
No, how about some good fundamental baseball? Just play baseball like it's supposed to be played. End the season on a decent note. We move on. But these bonehead plays. Now that Doval's got, at least we don't have to deal with Doval with the pitch clock violations and not holding run. Wait till he does this in New York, where he walks the bases loaded with 4 pitch count violations, and then lets the runners steal. He loses it. Wait till they see that act. Okay, you think there's a problem here? Wow.
All right. Well, they need players. That's the whole thing. They need players at about five spots in the batting order, and you do that. You build the pitching and defense, and you win in this park. So they didn't do much for me today. They didn't. I would have moved prospects to get some major league players in or get better prospects. So they got rid of 3 players, and what they got doesn't move the needle too much. So we'll see what happens. That's why we love it. All right. Well, this was interesting night. Now, Danny, thank you so much as always.
All right, boys.
Eric, Rick, thank you. Larry, very good. We had a short interview with Mark Simon about.
I still have it if you want to watch it, unless you don't want to.
Nah, it's about 5 minutes. We can play it. We'll put it on Twitter tomorrow. Or put it out there. Someone can watch it. But other than that, probably Larry Sunday, if we could survive until then.
Possibly. What Sundays? What time's the game Sunday?
Well, let's see. Sunday is an early start. I think we would be. Are you at 49ers Sunday?
Let's see. What day is today? Today is
31st.
Today's Thursday. They were off yesterday, so
10:40
Thursday, Friday,
Sunday.
I'm off on Sunday, Marty. So whatever time you want to go, we go.
Yeah, probably about 1:30, something like that.
Sounds good. We'll see you then.
All right, Eric, great job. Funny.
This is a fun one. All right, guys, we'll see you next week. Or next Sunday.
This is why we like
this Sunday, I should say.
This show. You say what you want to say. It's cool.
It's a beautiful thing.
All right. Have a good night. All right.
You bet. And Larry, you're in the sub. There you go. DL made it. $5.
Look at that. Look at that.
All right,
You're
let's
not
get
negative, Larry. You're just being realistic. Yeah, that's great.
Let's get out of here.
That's what I like.
Woo!
Thank you kindly. Enjoy the next week. We've got a whole bunch of baseball to speak on here at Marty and for